Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to today's video. So today, what are we talking about today? A few things. So first of all, I'm wearing the OG Quattro S4 shirt. Haven't worn this thing in a hot minute. Actually forgot I had it. Found it in the jar a few days ago and I was like, yes. But anyway, on to the next thing. So we actually just got back now from the machine shop. So we went to drop off the block. Still have the head back there. But we dropped off the block and got some news. Not bad, but it's news. So the block, basically where the combustion chamber is, so that top bit of the cylinder actually had a little lip. So the rings have worn it down a bit, which means we had to go with a bigger bore. Bigger bore means bigger piston. So I just went inside. We just finished ordering some pistons. And we went 82 millimeter, so 1 millimeter wider than stock. Get us closer to that, 2.9 liter, not fully 2.9 yet. It's the baby 2.9 they call it. But anyways, yeah, so we ordered the pistons. There will be on video on those sometime soon. As soon as they come in, I'll do a little video, then take it over to the machine shop because they need them to get the bore correctly. So that happened. The heads I'm going to start disassembling in the next 2 days. We're actually going to get those cleaned up. And we'll do a little video on that too, so you guys can see the process of disassembling them. And then I got something really cool to clean them up. So let's see if that works. Fingers crossed it does. It's actually right behind the garage door, but we're not going to talk about that today. We'll unbox that another day. Today we're going to be talking about these, so rods, and not these rods exactly, but the ones we have right here. So huge thank you to the good people over at MaxPeeding rods for sending these rods over to us. We're going to take a look at these, compare them to our stock rods, which we have here. So I fully disassembled this one, bearings out, everything's out. We're going to compare the two, weigh the two to get an accurate weight measurement, and we're going to weigh all the rods as well that we got from MaxPeeding to see the variances between all of them and see what we got to work with. So we're going to unbox those, take a quick look at them, and we'll go from there. Again, huge shout out to MaxPeeding. Another thing to mention, there will be a coupon code down below, 15% off any MaxPeeding products. So if you guys are looking for rods for any platform, for me and you guys who are probably watching, this would be the 2.7, the VR6 in this case, and many other engines. So if you're looking at Hondas, Volkswagens, Audis, BMWs, they carry rods for almost all those platforms. So make sure to check them out. I'll drop the link to their website down below, drop the link to these exact rods down below, and make sure you use that coupon code at Quattro S4, without the at, it's just Quattro S4, and you get 15% off any of their products. I'll drop all the info down below so you guys can take a look at it. Okay, so here we have our rods. So looking at the top of the box, we have the images, MaxPeeding, connecting rods going across the top, images of the MaxPeeding rods here on the side, MaxPeeding, empty, MaxPeeding, stuff, and pretty much empty. Just figured I'd show you guys around the box, because why not? But now let's get into it. Cut this open. See if we got anything at the bottom. Yes, we do. That should take care of all the tape. Now we'll go ahead and unbox these guys. All right, so at the top, we are greeted with the rods. So we have two of them up top here. We'll pull this sheet out. Foam separator. Some paperwork, which we will take a look at in a sec. Other sheet of rods with the foam separator attached, and the last sheet there. So we have all 6 rods. The rest of the box is pretty much done. We'll throw that off to the side. Okay, so we have the rods off to the side for now. Let's take a look at this paperwork they sent us. So the first thing we get is a MaxPeeding rods booklet. It's just an about us section telling you about the rods, other products they carry, turbos, and all that other stuff, as well as suspension components, which is really cool, and all the places they operate. All right, so we'll throw that off to the side. Next up is the product introduction sheet. So it has image of the connecting rod front, MaxPeeding rods, and then here is installation guide for the rods, and as well as their model number up there. At the bottom we have ARP fasteners torque table. So it's pretty cool. The rods do come with ARP hardware, which is great. So we'll be installing them with that hardware. So that's your torque table there at the bottom, which is great. So we'll make sure we'll keep that off to the side and not lose it. And then we'll bring the rods over. So actually just take one sheet for now. They come packaged pretty well, so cut out foam. There's no way they're getting damaged in this. And then they are wrapped in plastic. So you have a Ziploc bag with the rod in it. Actually not a Ziploc bag, it's a stapled bag. Open here at the bottom. So we'll pull them out. And then they're wrapped in this, it's like oily parchment paper kind of material. So we'll unwrap them there. All right, so now we're looking at the rods. MaxPeeding rods across the front. H-beam rods. On the side here we have the model information. And they look pretty good. So what we'll do now is I'll put this one back. We'll unwrap the rest of them and then take a quick look at what we have. Okay, so we have all 6 of our rods laid out here, as well as one OEM one, which we will put up here. So you can see size-wise, there's not a big difference, of course, because we need them to be the same size, length and all. But there is a difference in weight, which we will take into account right now. So what we're going to do is clean this out, just keep one of the OEM rods and one of the MaxPeeding rods out, compare the two, and then we'll move on to weighing every single one of these individually. Okay, so looking at these two now, biggest difference between the two is the way they're made. So the OEM rods for the 12 valve VR6 are cast, so it's hot metal poured into a mold, and then out of there comes this. Here we have some machining, as well as to machine the bearing surfaces all flat and smooth. So you have machining for the bearing surfaces, bolt mating points, and then here for the wrist pin as well. Other than that, the rest of the rod is just its cast self. So there's nothing else, nothing much to it. And you can see some of the casting, not defects, but casting points. So you see the mold ends here, here as well, and just the slight imperfections throughout the entire rod there. Not that this is bad. These hold power. Some people have made a lot of power with them, but what we get from MaxPeeding is better. So unlike the OEM rods, which are cast, the MaxPeeding rods are made in a forge process. So that means a few things for us. Number one, they're made of a different material. So these are made out of 4340 aircraft grade chrome moly steel. So this is stronger than what they have poured into the mold to make the OEM rods. So not only is the material stronger, but now the process to make the rods also inherently makes them stronger. So these are pressed into these shapes. So the metal is forced into the shapes that you see here under very high tensile strengths. So this aligns the grains of the steel and gives you something that will handle stresses much better than a cast piece. Another thing that gives us is lighter parts. So this forge part is not only going to be stronger, but much lighter than the OEM rods, which is great for a rotating assembly. So you're going to lose weight here, which will allow you to rev a little faster and rev a little higher. Both of those will be pluses when you're trying to make more power. So now I'm going to bring out the scale, and we'll get these both on the scale, see the difference between the two, and then we'll weigh the rest of the MaxPeeding rods as well and check out the variances in weight. Okay, so I went and grabbed a few things. First of all, this is our scale. I just ordered this from Amazon, and I thought it was going to be much bigger. It's actually pretty tiny, but it'll work for what we need it right now. Next, I grabbed our notebook so we could take measurements and write them down, and I have our little cat pen as well. Hopefully that focuses, but this is hilarious. Anyways, we'll start with the OEM rod, and I'll write here OEM, and we'll give that a shot, see what it weighed, and see what we got here. Okay, so right now 665.6. just to test something, I'm actually going to go ahead and just shift it on the scale. Make sure it zeroes out, put it a different way, make sure it gives us a pretty similar measurement. There we go again, 665.6. So we write that down, 665.6. And then here on this side, we'll go max speeding. And we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, one thing we'll do before we weigh the MaxPeeding rod is actually number all of them so that we have a good idea of what each one weighed, and then I could get all this information over to our machine shop who's going to put the bottom end together. So this will be number 1 for us, so I'll write that down. That'll be number 1. We'll go ahead and place that on here. And we're going to do the same thing we did before, so we'll put it in 2 different orientations. So right now this is giving us 571.5. Pick it up, zero it out. 571.6, and I'll pick it up one more time. 571.6, so that's our weight. 571.6. Now, just to give you guys a quick comparison of what we're looking at here, have my phone. Now we're going to go 665.6, which was our OEM rod weight that we have here, and then minus 571.6, which is very convenient that they both ended in 0.6. It'll give us a solid number. And these rods are 94 grams lighter than our OEM rod, which is amazing. So 94 grams of weight per rod is going to save us a bunch of weight in our rotating assembly, which is a huge thing. Again, when you're trying to make more power, less weight there is a big win. And maybe when we see these forged pistons, it'll add to our weight savings as well. A video for another day. So now I'm going to go ahead and weigh the rest of these MaxPeeding rods, and we'll be right back. All right, so we weighed all the rods out. We have all 6 measurements written down here. After seeing all 6 measurements, the biggest variances between them are between this one that's 571.6, which is the first one we weighed, and then the third one we weighed, which was 571.1. So about half of a gram difference. Now, when we divide that half a gram into the total weight of that first rod, this is the percentage we get. So it's about 9/100ths variance in the biggest variance between these rods, which is a great number that speaks to how well they're manufactured and the quality control as well. So no issues with weight here. We are golden. So we're on to move on with installing these rods on the car. So huge thanks again to MaxPeeding. We have our little rig here with the light and all where we're measuring the rods. Huge thanks again to them for sending these out. Impeccable quality from what I could see from this set that I have from them. We had no issues. The rods, 1, look great, 2, weighed in great, and 3, weighed in great. So they not only weighed in great with the variance between each other, but they were much lighter compared to the stock rods, saving us about 95 grams, which is great weight savings. So now I'm gonna do just a quick weigh-in of all the other rods and give us a variance between the stock rods, just so you guys have an idea. So I'll be right back. Okay, so after doing that, rod variance between the stock rods went up to 1 gram flat. So that's twice as much variance as what we're getting from the MaxPeeding rods. So we will have 0 issues running these. So again, thank you to MaxPeeding rods. Remember to use the code 4UATTROS4, QuattroS4 on any of their products on their site. Their site will be linked below. Thank you again to them for giving you this discount and for sending us these rods so we can check them out, test them out, and get them in this motor so we can make some good power. I'll catch you guys later. See you in the next one. Peace.